Mass burials in New York signal the toll the coronavirus outbreak has taken, even as signs emerge that infections are levelling off. The UK records its highest daily death toll so far. Almost 1,000 more people have lost their lives. Queuing for food in Calais with no hope of social distancing, we report on the migrants still searching for a better life. How worshippers around the world have been marking Good Friday amid the coronavirus pandemic. We are going to go to what's happened in New York, because the total number of confirmed deaths from the pandemic around the world has now passed 100,000. Figures collated by Johns Hopkins University in the United States show that globally there are now almost 1.7 million registered cases of Covid-19. The United States now has the highest number of cases, nearly 500,000. It's also suffered the second highest number of deaths, 18,300. It's only just behind Italy. New York State alone now has more confirmed cases of coronavirus than any single country in the world. Pictures have now emerged of a mass grave being used in New York City as the death toll there continues to rise. Hart Island has long been used for people with no next of kin or by families who can't afford a funeral. Here's our North America editor, John Sopel.
It is somehow unimaginable, unbelievable, that in the most famous city of the richest country in the world, they're digging mass graves for those who can't afford a funeral and for those who died of coronavirus with no next of kin. This is Hart Island, just off the Bronx in New York City. Nearly 8,000 people have died in this state alone, and they're struggling to deal with all the burials.
The UK has recorded its highest daily increase in deaths due to coronavirus. Friday was the third day in a row in which the British health authorities recorded close to 1,000 deaths in hospitals in a single day. That takes the total number of deaths in the UK to almost 9,000. The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is now out of intensive care, and Downing Street says he continues to improve in hospital, where it says he has thanked the whole clinical team treating him for the care he's receiving. Downing Street says his thoughts are with all of those who have been affected by this terrible disease.
Today, some were enjoying the sunshine, keeping their distance and exercising in line with official advice. But there's still a long bank holiday weekend ahead. Hugh Pym, BBC News.
France has recorded almost 1,000 deaths in the past 24 hours. It brings the total death toll there to more than 13,000. The authorities say almost a third of those who've died were in nursing homes and other care facilities. In Italy, 570 people have died from Covid-19 in the past 24 hours. That's 40 fewer than the day before. The number of confirmed cases also slowed from just over 4,200 to just under 4,000. Italy has been one of the countries hardest hit by the pandemic, with more than 18,000 confirmed deaths. In Ireland, the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar has said that current restrictions on movement will remain in place for at least another 3 weeks. But Dr. Varadkar said it was his fervent hope to ease those restrictions gradually after that point. The British Red Cross says that there are thousands of refugees and asylum seekers living in poverty in the UK. And across the Channel in Calais in France, many migrants remain in makeshift camps hoping to cross to the UK. The BBC's Fergal Keane reports on how the coronavirus pandemic is affecting those who have fled persecution or poverty.
They look like scenes from the world before the coronavirus. But we filmed these crowds nearly 3 weeks into the French government's lockdown. No social distance for the migrants of Calais.
Bonjour, salutes, coffee, warm coffee.
Try to wash your hands sometimes.
No hot food either. A sandwich given by the state, the sole meal of the day for hundreds. This camp is on the edge of an industrial estate about a mile from Calais. It might as well be on another planet.
We are sick people.
And how difficult is it for you here?
Too much difficult in here. There is no tent, there is no good food, there is no any drink water, no cloth, no shoe. Too much problem in the jungle.
Worshippers around the world have found ways to mark Good Friday amid the coronavirus pandemic. While some church services have been broadcast or streamed online, there have also been some more unusual methods. Regid Ahmed reports.
In unprecedented times, needs must. This is a drive-in church service being held in Germany.
Wo der Gottesdienst drauf ist.
Strict social distancing means worshippers have to avoid gathering for Good Friday church services. That hasn't stopped religious leaders from finding alternative options.
A reminder of our main story. The number of confirmed deaths from coronavirus around the world has now passed 100,000. Italy has suffered the most deaths, followed by the United States. Lockdowns imposed to limit the spread of the virus have crippled economic activity. Many governments are facing a dilemma on when to start easing restrictions. President Trump said it's the biggest decision he'd have to make.
The Pope held his Good Friday service in front of a near-empty St Peter's Square. He was joined by 5 prison inmates and 5 Vatican doctors and nurses for the Way of the Cross service. It marked the first time the procession commemorating the last hours in Jesus' life was not held at Rome's Colosseum since 1964.